Welcome everyone to another new week of the CFO Swinger Watch. So last week we had a pretty eventful week. So on the daily time frame, we are finally back to this 50 SMA. However, if you guys read the market summary, I'm being a little bit cautious here because, instead of seeing the immediate bounce back up above the 50 SMA and making new all-time highs again, we're slowly grinding down. Do you see how there's a lot of volatility as we're slowly moving down here? And the price range of each trading day on SPY is getting wider. Okay, so on Friday, we've had the quad witching day where all options simultaneously expire, which is the main reason why we saw a lot of volatility and a lot of selling going on and a lot of volume. So this coming Monday, we will have to see if it's going to be a make or break day where we make the 50 SMA as support once again, or we break the 50 SMA to the downside. So the only thing that I'm watching here for SPY, the only major level here is 441. Okay, so if we break 441 to the downside, we're going to have really no support at all here, except maybe around 440-ish. And then after that, it's all day back down to around 434.50 to 435. All right, so you guys have to be careful getting into long positions. All right, because the market, if it goes down, when the overall markets move lower, most names will start moving lower as well. Okay, so make sure you guys are hedged as well. Okay, so if you start moving lower or if you start bouncing on the 50 SMA on Monday, which could be likely on Monday, we could see some rejection, okay, on a 2-hour time frame around 444 or around 442. Okay, so you guys have to watch out for these levels of supply or resistance. There'll be new levels of resistance if you start bouncing here. All right, and on a 2-hour time frame, you can actually see that we have caught up to the 200 SMA on the 2-hour time frame, which also matches up to the 50 SMA on the daily time frame. All right, they're both the same there. Okay, so that's kind of it for the market summary. There's really not much to look at. All right, just make sure you guys are using those SPY levels here that I've given you. So the first name here is CRSP. Let's take that RSI out of here. Okay, so CRSP, CRISPR, looks absolutely amazing. So Friday, we broke out to the upside, all right, after completely obliterating this 120 to 121 resistance level. And we got a lot of volume coming in to all these biotech names. Now, this might just be a rotation of money, a simple sector rotation, all right, as money goes out of other bigger names and money is not flowing into these type of names, biotech names. But I did see a lot of strength going to healthcare and biotech names, and CRSP was one of them. So CRISPR, we ended up at highs, which is always a great sign to see with a fair amount of volume here. At the very least, we ended up with more than the average volume, and we are right at the 50 SMA. So on Monday, we will see either a rejection or we're going to see a gap up above the 50 SMA and come back down to retest the 50 SMA as a new area of support. All right, so you guys have to wait for that price action and not try to get in right away. Okay, so there's two scenarios. Let me go over it one more time. We're either going to gap up and then come back down, fill that gap, and touch the 50 SMA as new support, or we're going to kind of open up a little bit lower and then kind of hang around and then immediately start going up higher and use the 50 SMA as new level of resistance. All right, and that will probably be the most ideal scenario personally for me. Okay, as we're letting the 10 and the 21 SMA catch up on this movement higher here. So you guys have to watch out on the 2-hour time frame. All right, around 122 to 123. Okay, that's a pretty good area to watch out for if we gap lower on Monday and open up a little bit lower. But on the 2-hour time frame, we need to see the 10 and 21, which are now curving upwards. And you guys can also see, if I move a little closer, the 10 is crossing the 21 SMA. All right, it's a great sign to see. But we do have to get above this 200 SMA on the 2-hour time frame, which also coincides with the daily 50 SMA here. And this 50 SMA is around 125-ish. All right, so we do have to get over 125 in order to see more highs here. Okay. All right. The second name is AVGO. So this has been showing a lot of strength. I mean, on a daily time frame, you don't really see a lot of red days here. And on Friday, we got a lot of volume as well, just like any other name in the stock market last week. So AVGO, very strong name. This 506 level is very, very important here, as we need to officially break out this level with a lot of volume in order to see more all-time highs and maybe all the way up to 520. Okay, so 520 will be my ultimate price target. And if we do not keep this ascending support trend line to the upside here, we will eventually break it. And a good area to short will be around 500. All right, that's a psychological level that a lot of sellers might be willing to push the price lower around 500. So that will also be a great entry to short this name if we start to head lower and lower, especially if we see a lot of sellers still kind of sitting around and not doing anything. And then once we kind of start going lower around 506, the sellers might come in with a lot of power, all right, and a lot of volume. So they will start to push lower and lower, and eventually even more sellers will start to come in around 500 and push the price lower, and we'll see a lot of support around 489ish to around 488.50ish. All right, so these are the levels that need to be watching out for this week. And once this name starts having a confirmed trend either to the upside or to the downside, this name will move a lot. All right, so this is a name that you need to be watching out for. All right, so the third name is Editas Medicine. All right, so this one is looking like a pretty good name here. We've had a pretty good bounce on Thursday and Friday as we're holding this daily level around 59. And now the only thing that's kind of making me cautious here to the long side is that the 10 SMA, all right, is now coiling downward and it has crossed downward on the 20 SMA. So this tells me that there's still some downside to be made here, a downside movement. And if there is, I will see the price go all the way back down towards the 50 SMA here, which is around 55 to around 56. Okay, so eventually, if we start moving lower, I expect the 50 SMA to be around 56 or around 56.50-ish. So we need to break 59 to the downside in order to see the price retest the 50 SMA as the daily support. But if, okay, this is only if we see immense amount of volume coming in on Monday, where we retest around 62.50-ish or even 62, okay, we should see a lot of buying coming in and eventually a new uptrend happening here since we've started to consolidate for the past few weeks here. Okay, so this was a very good move up, an impulsive move up, but now we start to kind of consolidate. All right, but personally for me, I want to see a little bit more consolidation, which is the reason why I'm being very cautious here. I want to see that retest of the 50 SMA one more time, okay, before we start heading up higher. But the major levels to watch is around 62, maybe even 61.50-ish if we start heading lower. Okay, but watch out for those levels, and if we break below 60 to 59, okay, there will be some selling volume coming in. Okay, so the main last name here, the main last name here is CRSR. Okay, so 2-hour time frame. Let's look at a 2-hour time frame. It tells us a lot more information here. So we have the similar situation here on AVGO, right? As we saw on AVGO, this ascending support trend line. But for CRSR, we're actually breaking lower. Okay, so we're seeing the 10 and 21 SMAs, the momentum SMAs, personally for me, starting to coil downward, and the price has broken lower below this ascending support trend line. So this tells me that we can potentially revisit this crucial area of support here. It's a new area of support because in the previous areas that the price was at on this specific level, it was using as level of resistance, as you guys can see right here. Okay, so if we head back down here to 28, we will see, or we should see at the very least, a nice relief bounce. All right. On the 2 hour time frame, the RSI is telling us that it's getting a little bit weaker here. So we will see some type of support around the 200 SMA, around 28.50, which makes sense since that is another whole number level. And if we break below that, we should see a lot of support around 28.05-ish, 0.10-ish on a 2 hour time frame. All right. But on the daily time frame, this has been a very solid area of support right here. So we should see a nice bounce, and we will be allowing the daily 21 SMA to catch up. Okay, so that will also be a nice buy the dip opportunity. The next major level of resistance for this name is around $30. So if you're able to break above $30, we should see an explosive run up to around 31.50 to around 32. All right. Okay, so BABA. All right. So that was it for the major names here for this week. But BABA still remains my investment pick. Okay. And the reason why is that last week I did tell you guys that if we see a breakdown to the downside of this ascending support trend line, we will see another dip to around 152.50-ish to around 153. And that's exactly what we got. And we found support around 153.50-ish. So we're kind of forming a double bottom here, and we just might be able to see a little bit of a continuation here back to the upside. And BABA has been hammered even on the weekly time frame. I mean, we're back towards the range that we've been looking at since 2019 to 2018, which is years ago. So if you're able to build solid areas of support around 152-ish to around 175-ish and form a nice base, okay, we should see a nice movement upwards towards back towards the 200 eventually in the months to come. All right. So this is a name that you really had to be patient on, and it's going to take a lot of patience as well, because of the fact that there is a lot of geopolitical issues going on with this name. All right, well, with any Chinese name actually. So make sure you guys are dollar cost averaging in if you guys had an early entry, and make sure you guys are looking for good areas of entries and exits and your stop losses, especially if you're looking to trade this name instead of investing into this name. Okay, so let's look at our extra names here. So Uber looks very, very good. Why? Well, because of the fact that on the weekly time frame, we're right back at a previous area of resistance, ranging from 38 to around 40-ish. Okay, and we're kind of hanging around there. And in a daily time frame, we're really chopping around here and kind of forming a tight range here, which I love to see. It kind of tells me that the sellers may be looking to kind of take their hands off the keyboard and allow the buyers leeway to kind of come in and put this price right back up above 40 here. So, we have this descending level of resistance on a 2 hour time frame. And if we're able to kind of break above 40 here, around 40.10, we should see a nice movement upwards to around 42, which will be my profit target there. And if we are able to break above 42, we should see eventually a heavy level of resistance and supply around $43. Okay, but if you break below 38.50-ish, you should get out. And then Amat, one of my favorite names for semiconductors here. Okay, so Amat is looking very, very good. All right, I've had this name on the watch list multiple times, and I posted it on my Instagram page, okay, at Charts Focus One. But Amat still in this huge ascending triangle pattern, all right, this bullish chart pattern, and seems like the price wants to stay above this resistance, which tells me that the price wants to head up higher and eventually have this blue sky breakout above 145, which would be amazing to see, and eventually we'll head up to 152. Okay, so on the 2 hour time frame, all right, we're continuously making higher highs here, and if we're able to break above and hold above 141.50 and 142, we should see continuous movement higher towards 145, where we eventually see a lot of resistance. Okay, we will see a lot of resistance at 145. So make sure that if you're planning to hold long term, 145 should not be a really significant area to look at, especially if you're investing into this name. But if you're trading this name, 145 should be a very good profit target. Okay, so if you want to short this name, maybe on the daily time frame, if you want to short this name to the downside, eventually kind of retesting this huge ascending level of support here, this trend line here, I would say a break of about around 138.50ish to maybe even 138 will be an entry for short. Okay, and then your profit target will be around 133ish. Okay, so the last extra name here is ROBLOX. So ROBLOX is looking very interesting because let's look at a 2-hour time frame for more information. We have a double bottom here. Okay, but just like all the other names, like Uber here, for instance, we're starting to kind of form a descending level of resistance here on the 2-hour time frame. So if we see a rejection around 81 this week, we should kind of chop around, maybe even retest 79 as support here again for a triple bottom, and eventually come back up above 80 and kind of break out above 80. But if we see a lot of buying volume coming in, a lot of bidding up of the prices here, we should see 81 as a new level of support if you blast up above 81. Okay, so the major level that we need to clear is 82. But if you're able to clear 82 as well, 84 or 85 will be your profit targets. Okay, so make sure you're looking at ROBLOX because it's still relatively strong, even though we've been seeing some sell-off after this double top that we've made. Okay. All right, so that is it for all the major names. This week is going to be a crazy week as well, since SPY is at a pivotal point on that 50 SMA here. But so far, everything still looks pretty good. There's a lot of opportunities to take here. But with that, the stock names are here for you guys that I've chosen for you. So make sure you guys make that watch list for this week. Okay, with all these names included. All right. Okay. So the cryptocurrency pick that I have for you all this week is Ethereum. Why? Well, because Ethereum is still looking very good, and we're right back at that resistance area around. Let's get this out. Around 3,360-ish, and we're kind of treating that as new level of support, which is also a previous level of resistance. Okay, and also we're using the 50 SMA as new level of support as well. So if the price is able to kind of chop around and continuously use as this level of support here, this 50 SMA, we should see a nice bounce back up around to maybe around 3,750. Okay, but as we're kind of chopping around here, what the 10 SMA here will do, to take the candlesticks away, we're starting to swoop below the candlesticks here, and eventually we'll start to rise up higher and higher as the price starts to bounce. Okay, and eventually the 21 SMA should start acting as levels of resistance, and eventually swoop lower after being used as a level of resistance, and also kind of start curving upwards to support the price up higher. So it all depends on the price to kind of bounce above this resistance level around 3,360 or around 3,350, and then eventually move up higher and higher and higher back towards 4,000. Okay, and 4,000, if I draw my level right here, we can see another double top here form here if we see a lot of selling going on, since we did see a lot of selling right here around 4,000. Okay, so that is my cryptocurrency pick of the week, and that is it for this week's CFO Swinger Watch. I hope you guys are really managing your trades well. Make sure you guys keep your positions light, and I will see you all in the CFO Discord this week. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening.